Hey everyone, and welcome to Daily Books, where we dive into a new book every single day. Today, we are tackling an absolute giant, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. It's a story that's been loved, remade, and obsessed over for more than 200 years. So, what is it about this book that gives it this incredible staying power? Well, let's get into it.
Really, stop and think about that for a second. We live in a world of trends that come and go in a flash. So, how does a story about finding a husband in Regency England still feel so relevant? That's the big mystery we're going to unpack today. And trust me, the answer is way more clever than you might think.
So, to really get this book, you gotta start with the woman who wrote it, Jane Austen. See, back then, it was not considered proper for a woman to be a writer, so she had to publish her work anonymously, simply signed by a lady. And that little detail is so important because it tells you everything about the world her characters were trying to navigate.
At the heart of it all are two of the most famous characters in literature. First up, you've got Elizabeth Bennett. She's smart, she's funny, she loves life, but man, does she jump to conclusions. She is the prejudice in the title. And then there's Mr. Darcy. He's ridiculously rich, but he's also proud, kinda serious, and, let's be real, a total disaster at parties. He's the pride. And when these two collide, sparks just fly. And this is the sentence that starts it all. They're at a party, and Elizabeth overhears Darcy say this about her. It's just brutal. And in that one moment, Darcy's arrogance is set in stone, Elizabeth's own pride gets a major blow, and her mind is made up about him. Right from the get-go, the battle lines are drawn.
But here's the thing you have to understand to really get the tension between them. This is so much more than a simple love story. The characters are all playing a high-stakes game with a very rigid set of social and economic rules. What looks like a simple romance is actually a fight for your future.
Let's just talk money for a second. £20,000. That was the fortune of some of the characters in the book. And that wasn't just a nice little savings account. That was a life-changing amount of money. It decided your social standing, your power, and how attractive you were on what was basically called the marriage market. In this world, wealth was everything.
And if you were a woman from a good family but without your own money, like Elizabeth Bennett, well, your options were pretty bleak. You could marry for security, that was the #1 goal. Or you could become a governess, which was a miserable, low-paying job. Or you could end up living as a charity case in a male relative's house. Yeah, the pressure to get married was absolutely immense.
So, you see, for these characters, picking a partner wasn't some fairy tale romance. It was a cold, hard, strategic move with huge consequences for their entire life. They were players in a very serious game, and they could not afford to lose. And knowing that makes Elizabeth's story even more powerful. Okay, so this is where Jane Austen gets really clever. One of the most brilliant things about this book is how she makes you, the reader, feel Elizabeth's prejudice just as strongly as she does. And she does it with this amazing literary trick that basically puts you right inside Elizabeth's head. It's a technique called focalization. Now, don't let the fancy word scare you. Just think of it like the story's camera. It's not about who's telling the story, but about whose eyes we are seeing the story through. It's all about the perspective.
And in Pride and Prejudice, Austen basically straps that camera firmly onto Elizabeth Bennet's shoulder. For almost the entire book, we only see what she sees, we only know what she knows, and most importantly, we are led to judge Mr. Darcy in exactly the same way she does.
Just look at this line. The book states it like it's a fact. His character was decided. But decided by who? It was decided by Elizabeth, based on her very limited, very biased first impression. By locking us into her point of view, Austen makes us part of the prejudice. We totally believe Darcy is this awful guy, because that's the only picture we're allowed to see. But of course, the whole genius of the book is that we slowly start to wonder, is that really the whole story? Austen plants that seed of doubt in our minds right as Elizabeth herself starts to realize that maybe, just maybe, she got it all wrong. So what does any of this have to do with us here in the 21st century? Well, these themes of making snap judgments and dealing with social pressures feel incredibly modern. And the book's legacy is all about how it keeps getting reinvented for our own time. Just think about it. Compare their marriage market to our online dating apps. Back then, it was all about your family, your social status, your money. Today, we swipe left or right based on job titles, income levels, and a handful of perfect photos. The technology is different, but are the judgments really all that new? The core of the story is so universal that you can pick it up and drop it into almost any culture, and it still works. A perfect example is the novel Unmarriable, which sets the entire story in modern-day Pakistan, and it explores the exact same social pressures just through a totally new lens.
And I love this quote from that book. The Elizabeth character, Alice, points out to her students that Jane Austen herself never married. Instead, her legacy, her children, are her novels. It's such a powerful way to reframe the story and to empower women in a whole new context. It just shows how adaptable this story truly is.
And that really gets to the heart of why we're still talking about this book. The reason we always come back to Pride and Prejudice is because its central struggle is something we all go through. The challenge of getting past our own pride, our own biases, to see people for who they really are and to make a real, honest connection. That journey will never get old.
The book is a masterclass in showing us how easily we can get things wrong. So the question, at least for us all these years later, is a really personal one. Which of your own snap judgments, your own first impressions, might be worth taking a second look at? That's our take from us here at Daily Books. We'd love to hear what you think, so be sure to leave your comments. As they say, books don't change, but we do. See you on a new page.